Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
All right, guys, welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, as always, presented by our friends over at ScentLok. I just got done with my first hot weather hunt, and I don't want to dive into the details of that yet, but I just got done with my first hot weather hunt, and that's what I absolutely love about ScentLok. They got their hot weather gear, and it'll carry me all the way through the winter. So go check out our friends over at ScentLok, Scent Blocker, Oz by ScentLok, all of their brands. I am joined by a good friend of mine, Mr. I'm going to call you Nicholas. That sounds more prestige.
Let's go with Nick.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm more of a Nick.
But Sir
than
Nicholas sounds a lot better.
Yeah, it does sound better, but I'm just a regular dude. So we're sticking with the true nickname of Nick.
We've got Nick Olano from American Hunt. Nick, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Man, I'm absolutely, anytime I'm at Hill Creek, I'm doing well.
That's true.
We are coming to you from one of American Hunt's properties, some of my greatest friends in the world. I got to say that because they're my cousins also, but I don't really mean it. I just got to say it, you know? No, I'm just kidding. No, we're here at we're here at one of American Hunt's properties, Hill Creek in the godforsaken state of Missouri. I can't call it Missouri. It's Missouri.
You go old school and call it Missouri.
Missouri?
That's right.
No.
Talk about it like the old Civil War generals.
I hate when people, I'm like, but that's not how it's spelled though. Like, there's a town in Kansas and people say it completely different. I'm like, but that's not how it's spelled.
Yeah, I can't lecture anybody on
You're from
on
Arkansas,
spelling.
You can't talk.
That's right.
No, I was born and raised in Arkansas, and then when you go to Kansas, people call it Arkansas. And I'm like, no, you live in Kansas. And I'm like, shut up. And so I just say I'm from Wellington, Kansas, because I was born and raised in Arkansas. Where are we going with this? Anyways, Hill Creek, dude, an outdoorsman's paradise. You've got fishing, you've got hiking, you've got hunting, you've got a gorgeous lodge, beautiful country. We were sitting out there last night hunting, and man, I just look over and you see a sunset dropping behind a hill, and oh my gosh, it's just beautiful country. Man, before we jump in, give us a quick introduction to yourself.
Yeah, my name is Nick. I am one of the co-founders of a company called American Hunt. And our whole goal is to bring access to private land for the outdoors. So we are providing day leases for private land access. And our whole goal is to make things accessible for the everyday person. So right now, the industry, if you want to go hunting or engage in a lot of outdoor activities, you have to either own land or you do a season-long lease. And most people cannot afford either the financial or the time commitment. And by making leases available by the day, it creates a win-win situation. More people could get outdoors. More people can continue on the hunting tradition and culture, which is something that we're really happy and proud to really bring to the people.
Now, because I'm a podcast listener, I'm a podcast consumer, and before you tune out thinking this is just a sales pitch for American Hunt, I want you to hang in there, because my goal is to talk about how this fills a huge void in the hunting industry, and how, a lot of guys, even for myself, I think I have 6 leases in Kansas, where I do have the year-long rights. But because of that, I can't afford to have leases in Oklahoma or Missouri or Illinois, all those other places. I can't afford to have year-long leases. So with a company like American Hunt, it gives me the opportunity to lease ground by the day and still be able to hunt those states. So even if you are a guy who gets, who has the pleasure of owning ground in your home state or leasing ground in your home state, American Hunt is an awesome thing because it still gives you the opportunity to hunt other states on the cheap.
Exactly. And not everything's cheap. We're a full spectrum company, so we're going to have some super premium hunts all the way down to really base level hunts for people that just want to do it themselves. But one thing that I've noticed personally is there's a lot of guys that grow up hunting in a specific area like Arkansas or something like that, and they know where to go for whitetail or for turkey in their area. But then they end up dreaming about hunts in other places like Illinois or Oregon, and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And we're trying to aggregate all of these hunts and all these hunting areas in one place.
Yeah.
So you could just go to one place and you could
It's the
find your next
Airbnb
vacation.
of hunting.
Exactly.
It's the Airbnb of hunting.
Exactly.
And that's how I think about it, and that's also how I justify it, because if you think about it, when you travel to a different state, you don't know where to stay, you don't know where to go, you don't know. So you get on Airbnb and you find a property. And that's the exact same way with American Hunt. If I want to hunt in Illinois or Oregon or any of those states, Idaho, whatever, and I don't know where to go, I don't know how to start, I don't know, I don't have somebody to guide me in the right direction on public ground, then I can log on American Hunt and find private ground and have a good start, have a good head start that way.
Well, another thing we're doing is we're also letting guides list their services. So right now, a lot of times guides, they're really reliant on a word of mouth network and a local network. So once again, if you go on vacation or something like that, sometimes it's hard to find a reputable guide.
Yeah.
And our whole goal is to have as many guides on as possible with a rating system and things like that, so you can actually find guides wherever you're going. Maybe your girlfriend or wife, or you're going to visit your family on a family reunion or something like that, and you just want to slip away real quick. You don't have to do a ton of research to find an awesome fishing guide or an awesome hunting guide, depending on where you are.
Absolutely. No, and we've all been there where I don't want to name any names because I don't want to make anybody mad, but we've all been there where you get to an outfit and it sucks. Like, you're just like, this is trash. Me and Gabe, we went to I'm not even going to say the state, because then if they are listening, they'll know, because it happened. We're at an outfit, and we had an outfit that we'd hunted with for 5 years, just an hour and a half away. But we decided to try a new outfit. We get there, and it just sucked. And we had the marketing guy from Bear Archery with us, really trying to get him on a whitetail, and it wasn't going to happen at that outfit. We were just like, this is horrible. And so we ended up having to call our other outfit and saying, hey, man, we're only an hour and a half from you. Can we come hunt? And they're like, absolutely, man. So we make the trek over, but it sucks, man, for somebody who doesn't have the resources. And a lot of times you save up all year long for that one elk hunt or that one bighorn sheep hunt or that one whatever, even a turkey hunt. I mean, you put all your eggs into one basket, you get there, your outfit is bad, and then you're just crap out of luck.
Right.
So I mean, that's why I say I believe that American Hunt is filling a big void. And it's not just a plug for American Hunt, but I do honestly believe that something like American Hunt was needed in the outdoor industry. Nick saw that, and we're going to dive into how you saw that and why you saw that here in a minute. But you saw that, and you jumped on it. Before we jump into that, let me give a quick thank you to my friends over at Minus 33 Merino Wool. I am a huge fan of merino wool. It's all I wear. It's all I use. My underwear and my socks every day are merino wool. Why? Because they don't stink. So then my wife does laundry. She's not like, good Lord, your feet smell bad. But when it comes to hunting, merino wool is the best way to go. And Minus 33 does it, and does it well. So go check out my friends over at Minus 33. How did you notice the void for American Hunt?
So for me, I actually grew up duck hunting in Northern California. I know earlier everyone said I was from Arkansas. That's where I live now. But I did grow up in Northern California, and I took duck hunting for granted. I didn't realize how hard it is to get a lease, let alone how expensive it is, especially for a good duck lease. So later on, I was in the oil field in South Louisiana, and I was really excited. I thought I was going to be able to go duck hunting, and I was rudely awakened when I found out if I could find a good spot, it was probably going to cost me about $4,000. I ended up not being able to go that year. And the reason why is it just required too much time and too much money when I only wanted to go 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
I wanted to go more than that, but I worked, so I could only go 1 or 2 days anyway. And that's what really got the idea kind of going. Later, when I moved to Arkansas, I was lucky enough to have a couple of friends teach me how to bow hunt and how to shoot a bow, which is awesome. That's part of why we're on this podcast.
Once I learned how to shoot a bow, I never duck hunted again.
Well, it's a different kind of hunt. Duck hunting is really social and it's really, really fun. Yeah. For me, bow hunting it's
solitude.
It's kind of a meditation.
Yeah, 100%.
You're quiet. You're alone with your thoughts for a very long time.
Yep.
It's a completely different experience, and both experiences are awesome.
You've never been in a tree stand with Gabe, have you? Because you're not alone with your thoughts.
I've never been in a tree stand with anyone. Just by myself.
Gabe is actually, I got in trouble a couple episodes ago because I talked about Grant in a negative light.
Oh no.
And he heard it and he was like, "How you going to talk bad about me when I'm not there to justify myself?" And but Grant, dude, me and Grant have a riot in a tree stand. I mean,
Grant's a fun dude.
We have a blast in a tree stand together, man. I don't think me or Grant, I don't think we've ever killed anything when we're together, and there's a reason for that. Like, we just have a lot of fun.
Well, I wonder what the weight rating was for that tree stand, because Grant is a big boy.
He is, and we actually one year.
And I don't mean fat. I just mean he's big.
Yeah, no, he's a refrigerator.
Something. Yeah,
he's a refrigerator. But one year, the way it worked out, we wanted to go hunt this property together. And he's like, "Well, I have a tree stand set up there," and it was just a double wide, like double man tree stand. So me and Grant are sitting in this tree stand together, one stand, and like we're crammed together. And dude, we had a blast. But I don't think we've ever shot anything because we had so much fun when we're hunting together. But no, I try to go on one big duck hunt a year because, like you said, it is that atmosphere. It is that, we'll get a group of 10 to 15 guys to go duck hunting and, lay out in the field all day and eat breakfast pizza in the blind and just have a fun time.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Same with pheasant hunting.
And you could laugh and be loud and things like that, and you're not really scaring the ducks away.
Yeah.
Where, you better be playing the wind and be as quiet as possible.
Yeah. That's why I really try to do one big duck hunt a year and one pheasant hunt a year because that is the atmosphere and it's completely different. All year long, like we talked about, 90% of my hunting is done alone, 10% maybe I have a cameraman, but it's a complete different hunt. You roll up and you get to have fun with your guys, you get to, stop for lunch. It's just different,
Well, one thing that made me fall in love with bow hunting for whitetail specifically is you have to unplug. For me, I just turn my phone off because I can't afford it to ring at the wrong time. And then you really do get to just take time and think and take in nature and just listen to the woods. And that's so rare now in my life that I really, really appreciate those opportunities. A lot of times when you think about hunting, you're thinking about just getting the kill. But there's so much more about hunting. And for
I'm glad
me,
you didn't say harvest. It's like a pet peeve. Like, I'm not a farmer, dude. I sting and kill them. I don't. No. Yeah,
it needs to be like ethical. I'm only going to take a good shot if I can. But my point is, for me, actually hunting, it's not just about that. It's about the experience. It's about getting out there and really becoming one with nature.
Yeah.
The first year I went whitetail hunting, I didn't get anything, and I probably went at least 20 times. I froze my toes off. Seriously. But I really enjoyed it because it was that experience of just being out there and unplugging.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let me give you a piece of advice, though, on your toes. Don't put so many socks on. You probably put 4 or 5 pairs of socks on, didn't you?
No, I messed up and I put on cotton socks. And cotton is not the way to go.
See, we're going to run upstairs and I'm going to grab you a pair of minus 33 socks and then your life will change. No, but listen, and I'm all about education and informing and teaching. And I know I've probably talked about this on the podcast before. I actually think Jake Meyer from Mossy Oak was the one who talked about it on the podcast. But so many guys are like, man, my feet are going to get cold. They put 4 or 5 pairs of socks on and throw their boots on. What you've done is you've cut the circulation off your feet. So now there's no longer blood flowing to your feet. And that's when they get numb and go cold. So if you don't put as many socks on, I even untie my boots when I get up in there. That way blood can flow through there. Or if I'm wearing muck boots, I'll undo the strap or whatever. That way blood can flow to my feet and they don't get near as cold, near as fast. So more socks is not always better.
Makes sense.
I know that wasn't your problem, but just a quick tip for everybody out there listening, because my dad, I remember my dad telling me, he's getting older and he's got diabetes, so he has blood flow problems anyhow. And his feet always go cold super fast. And he tried everything. He's like battery-powered socks and all that stuff. And I'm like, Dad, just less socks, untie your boots. Like if you're in the mountains and you get to a glassing point, untie your boots. Like let circulation continue to flow to your feet. And I told him that, and it changed his life. Because he always just didn't get the circulation to his feet. It's nice when you can teach the guy who's taught you everything.
Well, that's also really awesome that you brought that up, because in my opinion, hunting culture is part of American tradition.
Absolutely.
It's been like that since before the founding of this country. And one thing that's happening is there's a lot of people that are moving towards cities and things like that, and families are selling off their land for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they can't afford it, or sometimes they just are choosing the city life over living in more rural areas. But the result is fewer people are owning more and more land, which means these families, they're losing access. And when they lose this access, if you don't teach your kids how to hunt and fish, the likelihood of them picking that up later on in life is incredibly low.
Absolutely. I saw statistics one time, and I'm not going to even try to throw it out there because I'll be wrong, but like adult hunters who become hunters in their adulthood is slim to none.
Exactly.
Very, very low percentage. Now, I did have the pleasure, you got to see the giant cat at Pope and Young Convention, that giant mountain lion New World Record, beautiful cat. Shelley Fulton, she became a hunter in her adult life, and she is not the standard. She is the exception, because it just doesn't happen. And that's why I try at a young age, like, no matter what it is. Like, my kids, if I could kill a deer and I'm within an hour from my house, I drive all the way back home before I go up on the deer, because I want my kids to track the deer with me.
That's awesome.
Last year, I saw where the deer died, but I didn't go to it because I wanted my kids to experience, this is where I shot it, now we're going to go find it. And I want them to experience that. Even if it's a stinking cap gun for my son. My son shoots my 3D targets in my backyard daily with his cap gun. He'll just go out there and boom, and shoot the 3D targets. But I want him to learn at a young age why we do what we do.
So first of all, you're a great dad. That's awesome to hear.
Well, mediocre dad, but I want him to learn how to hunt.
Stay humble, my friend. Stay humble. Well, but the other thing is access. There are a lot of people that did lose that land, and they did have that tradition in their family. But now that the land is gone, they don't know where to go, and they can't teach it to their kids.
Yeah.
And that's something that American Hunt is trying to do. We're trying to solve that. So yeah, you do live in a city now, or you live in the suburbs. You're working 50 hours a week. Hopefully you can still go hunting now. You could go online, you could find a place to book for the weekend, and then you could go on your turkey hunt that you grew up doing, or your deer hunt, or whatever it may be. And that's something we feel really good about. Another thing that we feel great about is there's also a lot of people that have land, and it's kind of a liability for them. They have to pay taxes on it. They can't necessarily afford it. You could take your land and you could lease it out very, very easily. It takes less than 5 minutes if you're going fast. I'd recommend taking your time, but people could put their land on our platform, and they could turn it into an asset, and they could really actually start
Raise some cash flow.
Exactly, passive income.
Now listen, I'm not here to change anybody's mind on public ground. There will be guys who say, well, just hunt public ground. I understand that. I'm a public land fanatic. I love hunting public ground. I've chased Kansas public ground, Idaho, Colorado. I've been there and done that. But there's times where I can't. I don't have time to get to Idaho and scout. I don't have time to spend a week in Idaho scouting and then a week hunting. And if I can just find an outfitter, or at least private ground where I know this is a good area to be hunting in, then it makes more hunts possible, and it makes a hunt that consumes 2 weeks into a weekend. And again, my goal in my hunting year is to create as many opportunities as I can. So rather than spending 2 weeks in Oklahoma, I'd rather spend 1 week in Oklahoma so I can spend a week in Texas, right. Which is how I lay my year out. I'll hunt Missouri a week, and then Oklahoma a week, and then Kansas a week, and then Texas a week. And I would rather do that than put all my eggs in one basket. And with something like American Hunt, it allows me to do that.
So you are right. I'm actually a huge fan of public ground as well. One thing that makes America great is our national parks. That's something that I feel like a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't talk about very often, and it is our public ground.
Absolutely.
However, if you look at a map of ownership in the United States, everything west of the Rockies, you have quite a bit of public ground. Once you go east of the Rockies, it starts getting pretty scarce.
Yep.
I mean, Texas, for instance, I want to say it's over 95% private.
Or the public ground is landlocked. You can't get to it.
Right. And
Can't get to it.
And that's an issue, especially if you want to get to it and use it.
Yeah.
Actually, I know some guys, and I'm not trying to blow anyone's secrets, but they find some public land spots that are actually surrounded by water or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they get tags, and then they end up just, get
Shout out to the hunting public.
Yeah. They end up getting a buffalo or something like that.
Shout out to the hunting public. That's what I like about those guys, is they're like, well, this is waterlocked. So whatever, they sneak in there and kill giants, and I'm like, well, good for you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that's a little tip. Find the spots and figure out how to get there, and you may have a very good.
But again, it goes back to,
success.
and all of the guys. Well, a lot of the guys from the hunting public have been on the show, and I respect those guys immensely because they do it on public ground. They do it the hardcore style. But again, they get to do it year round.
Right.
And that's just not realistic for some people.
Well, and then also, if we take the conversation back to land ownership, there's places, for instance, Texas, management is incredibly important. And they're overrun with hogs. There's a lot of farmers in certain areas.
That's their own fault.
Yeah.
Quit bringing stinking hogs in.
Yeah, but
wonder why you're overwhelmed with hogs.
But the point is, we need to do something about these invasive species that are just devastating the environment.
Gabe thinks we need to build a wall, not for Mexico, for Texas, and that way all the hogs can just stay there.
You fly more helicopters, maybe. Yeah. I'm just joking about the helicopters, although it does seem like a lot of fun.
In the state of Kansas, it's completely illegal to shoot a hog.
Yeah.
It's completely illegal because if you get us, and that's why Kansas doesn't have pigs. We contain them really well, because what happens is if there's a sonder of 20 pigs, you shoot one of them out of it. Now you've split them up into 2 groups of pigs, and they become harder to hunt. Then another hunter shoots that group of 10. They break into a group of 5. Now you've got hogs spreading out. So if you see hogs on your property, you see hogs when you're hunting, you call Fish and Game. They come in with choppers, take care of them right then and there. They don't spread out. They don't break up into different sonders. And the problem's taken care of.
Yeah. Choppers and traps. Traps are really effective.
Unless you're relocating them to somewhere else for them to hunt them. And I'm like...
Well, let's also not forget, they're delicious.
Yes.
So hogs are also a really great hunt to get started in hunting.
You know, it's funny. I asked Gabe yesterday. I'm like, hey, can I shoot a hog? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, why not? Like, don't you want them dead? And he's like, well, with how crazy our country's been and with how meat got so difficult for a while, we finally realized, we're like, wait a second. If we don't kill off these hogs, because they would take care of the problem right when they came in. Like, They kept their hogs in check. Garrett's got some amazing dogs, and they would just run them, take care of them, and be dead. Right. It's like, but if we let a population build up, then we don't have to worry about meat. Like, we can just go out and kill hogs. And I'm like, good point. He's like, we want to keep them in check, but we also don't want to kill them all off. And I'm like, fair point.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting perspective. I'm just going to say that they're delicious. So if I have the opportunity to take one, it's going down.
Yeah. No, speaking, I mean, that for me, that was the biggest thing COVID did for hunting, because I had people who said, no, I don't like deer meat. I don't like bear meat. I don't like hog meat. I don't like whatever. Well, then when Walmart all of a sudden don't have no meat, now you like deer meat? Now you're coming to me saying, hey, can I get a pound of deer meat? Hey, can I get a steak? Can I get a backstrap? Can I get a... I'm like, I thought you didn't like deer meat. But there's no meat at Walmart. And I'm like, oh, so now you know why I do what I do. Like, I'm not worried about it. I've got a deep freeze full of it.
Well, a lot of it also has to do with just preparation.
Yeah.
That I have a friend, whenever he takes a deer, he lets the meat sit on dry racks, chilled dry racks for about 7 days.
Yep.
And it makes a huge difference.
People don't know how to handle deer, and that's why people don't like deer meat, because you've had bad deer meat. Listen, if you've had wild game that you didn't like, it's because the person cooking it sucked.
Right.
That's just flat out plain and simple. They didn't know how to handle their meat. They let it spoil in the field. They kept it. Listen, if you kill a deer and you drive around town for 3 days showing all your buddies, that meat sucks.
Yeah.
Don't even eat it. But if you immediately get that meat out, I wet age mine. So I soak mine in a cooler with some salt, pull all the blood out. I don't even take it. I've found a huge difference in taking meat from a butcher, from a processor, to doing it myself, because I get to handle it. I don't throw it in with a bunch of other deer. I don't leave it sitting out on a table. I don't know what my meat's doing when it's there. So a couple years back, I just decided I'm just going to process all my own deer. So I bought grinders and all that good stuff, and my meat's 100 times better. So if you've had bad deer meat, A, it was probably overcooked, and B, they just didn't know how to handle it. And I talk a lot of wild game on this show, a lot of wild game eating on this show. And I've got some great friends over at Rebel 6 Rubs, and this is what they've done, Nick, and you got to check them out. Rebel 6 Rubs, they have 9 different rubs, all for different wild game. So it's not like one standard rub. Like, they've got a sweet bear meat that is phenomenal. They've got a spicy deer, Midwest fish. I mean, they have all these different rubs that were designed for different wild game, and it's phenomenal.
So I tried the spicy deer, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, but I didn't have it on deer. I put it on a steak, and it was awesome.
No, I put it on burgers.
Yeah.
I use spicy whitetail on burgers.
It was great.
My go-to burger rub. I absolutely love those guys, and they make some phenomenal rubs. What's your favorite wild game?
Whitetail. Yeah, whitetail are great.
I would have to go.
They really are. Well, because also I like to grind it up, and then I like to make burgers, and I'll actually just grind it up with bacon too, so it's kind of cheating. But a bacon whitetail burger,
It's my favorite thing in the world, dude.
it's the best thing ever.
It's my favorite thing in the world. My wife's like, "Why are you buying so much bacon?" I'm like, "Because I'm about to shoot a deer, and I need it."
Oh, yeah, no, I buy pork belly from Costco or Sam's Club.
What I do is I go, and I don't know what it's called. They probably call it like chunks or something. I don't know, but they have a big package at our Dillon's grocery store, and it's basically just like the big ends that nobody, like, they couldn't slice into bacon or whatever. So it's just big chunks of bacon that they couldn't. I don't know why they do it that way, but I just throw it in with my meat when it grinds, and Lord have mercy, it's good.
Are there a lot of deer hunters in that area?
Yeah.
Well, that might be why.
Yeah. No, it's something to do with, because it is. I mean, it's packaged up like from the like the meat plant. Like, it's not like.
Yeah.
And so it's something to do with, like, it. They just the ends or whatever. They couldn't slice it, or I don't know. But that's how I do it. But also, bear meat though is, I'd have to say, is my favorite big game. And then as far as my favorite wild game, period, probably pheasants.
Well, so I'm a little jealous about the bear, because I was actually going to go on that bear hunt with you, and
Yes,
then
you were.
stupid COVID came along, and let's just say I didn't go and you did, and I regret that.
That was the hardest 6 days I've ever hunted. Day 5, I didn't see a bear until day 5. Didn't give me a shot. I didn't shoot a bear until the last day, and I literally checked my phone, and I had 2 minutes left of shooting light. 2 minutes. And then I look up, and there was a bear. So I had to have shot that bear within the last minute and a half of shooting light on the very last day.
That's
And
epic.
going into that last day, I'm like, crap, it's not going to happen, man. I drove 2,400 miles, dragged my wife along with me to be my camera gal, who ended up getting scared of the bears and didn't even come out and film. And you want to talk about going from the lowest to the highest of highs in a matter of minutes. And it just goes to show, guys, hang in there. Don't give up, because your hunt can literally change in a matter of seconds. A matter of minutes. It's just crazy. That's why I love hunting so much, because you get down on yourself, you go to bed thinking this ain't gonna happen, sucks, this is stupid. Then the next morning your whole life could change.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been in in a deer stand, just thinking my hunt was over, and I just kind of closed my eyes to take a little nap, and next thing you know, you hear leaves rustling around, and I look up, and there's 5 whitetail 20 feet in front of me.
Yep. No, that's how it goes. It always comes when either I'm peeing or
yeah, right? No, seriously. My friend's dad, he thought the hunt was over, and he started eating, I want to say it was like cheese and crackers or something like that, and he ended up taking 2 8 points.
I always eat deer meat in the tree stand. That way I can just show him who's boss. I'm like, I'm eating your dad, and you're gonna stroll in here.
That's right. You got to eat the deer from the previous hunt.
No,
you got to keep it alive.
One time, my dad, we were sitting in a tree stand, and I had shot a really nice buck out of that tree stand the night before. And I'm like, Dad, there was another nice buck with him, and it was super early season. I don't even remember. I don't even know when season opens in Arkansas anymore, but it was like opening day, so it was still super hot. I'm like, Dad, they're still on their summer patterns. That other deer is going to come in tomorrow. And so me and my dad go back to the same stand, and sure enough, here comes that deer. And I'm like, I wasn't looking at my dad. I was looking through my binos at the deer, and I'm like, Dad, here it comes. It's coming down. I'm like, get your bow ready. He's like, I can't. I'm like, why not? He's like, I'm peeing. And I'm like, well, hurry up. Here it comes, dude. And it got to like 20 yards, and he was still peeing. I'm like, Dad, put that thing away, man. You got to shoot this deer. He's like, I can't cut it off. I'm old.
Old people problems.
He ended up shooting the deer, but it was just hilarious. I'm like, if I would have had a camera like over our shoulder rolling, that'd have been golden. But I didn't. So, well, before we dive into our next thing, let me give a quick thank you to our... Did you meet Jim Mesh at the Pope and Young convention?
I met a lot of people, and Jim, if I did meet you, I apologize.
I doubt he listens to the podcast. If you do, Jim, sorry. But Jim, his brother died in the line of duty. He was a firefighter in Kansas City, died in the line of duty. He had a strong passion for getting kids involved in the outdoors. So he started a non-for-profit called the John V. Mesh Memorial. And they hold events all around the country to try to get kids involved in the outdoors. They hold one at the E3 Ranch, which is Adam LaRoche's ranch. I mean, just an awesome place. But then also, they give a scholarship every year to somebody who's going into some sort of hunting study, whether it be game management or you know, to be a like a Forest Service ranger, something like that. So a really important non-for-profit. So go check out John V. Mesh Memorial Scholarship because I'm sure they have some events in your area where you can get your kids involved. Speaking of getting kids involved, I think it's important. Like I said, I have a strong passion for getting my kids involved in the outdoors, and things like Mountain Archery Fest are a great way to do that. I mean, you've got Total Archery Challenge, you've got Mountain Archery Fest. Those types of things are great ways to get your kids not only involved in the hunting industry, in the hunting world, but to get them involved in the hunting family. And those things are vital.
Well, yeah, and Brandon Waddell is a super cool guy.
Yeah, Brandon is one of the realest.
If anyone ever gets to say hello to that guy, you should, because he's awesome. He's been nothing but good to me. He's a great dude. And then also the Pope and Young
world record course.
How epic is that?
All 29 targets you shoot are a replica of the world record for that species.
I don't know if it gets any cooler than that.
We had a guy come up to the Pope and Young booth. His name's Steve Felix, and he currently holds the world record for elk. And they even the Mountain Archery Fest crew even tries to replicate the shot. So if it was like uphill and the elk was behind a tree and you were on your knees, like they try to replicate that shot that the hunter describes to them. And so Steve Felix comes to the Pope and Young booth, and he currently holds the world record, and he's like, dude, I just reshot my elk. He's like, it was, they literally set it up exactly how the hunt was, and the blood started pumping, my heart started beating just like it was, and he's like, it was insane. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's just a phenomenal course.
Yeah, so normally I go on vacation to like Colorado or something like that with my girlfriend, but for a ski trip. But we're probably going to actually change that, and we're going to make sure we go to Mountain Archery Fest this year instead.
I had the pleasure
because that's epic.
I had the pleasure of going to all of them last year, and this year I actually get to go to some of the Total Archery Challenges as well, and the Mountain Archery Fest events. And it's a family atmosphere like no other. Like, you can't explain it any other way. I mean, it's just when you show up there, it's like you're part of the family. the bow hunting family, the bow hunting community, and it's an incredible thing, and that's why I say I really want to get my kids introduced not only to hunting, but how hunting is a tight-knit group of family. Like Brandon, and I had talked with him on the phone before, and I had sent him emails before, and I don't know that I've ever actually seen his face. And then I roll up to my first mountain archery fest, and my other coworkers get out of the car, and they're like, "Hey, Brandon," and he gives them big old hugs, and he literally walks over to me and grabs my neck, dude, and hugs me, the biggest hug of my life. First time I ever met the dude, and I'm just like, golly, I thought he was gonna kiss me, and I mean, he's just that type of guy. And then he says, "You guys eating yet?" We got there pretty late, and we're like, "No, we need to run back down to town and eat." He's like, "No, man, my mom's got dinner ready up in my cabin. You guys just roll up there."
That's epic.
And so we walk into his mom's cabin, their cabin that they had stayed in on the resort, and his mom pulls out homemade spaghetti and garlic bread and dessert and salad and feeds us like my grandmother would. And it was just, they're a family like nobody else. So I would highly encourage you, check out a Mountain Archery Fest event, check out a Total Archery Challenge, because those are super tight knit groups and really just will get you involved in the hunting family.
So for me, it's almost like a pet peeve when people throw around the term family too much, but it does apply to this community. And when I first heard it a couple times, I was like, maybe. But then when I started to meet all these guys, I get it. It really is actually a family. They do treat you like one of their own, even if you're a total newbie. Like, compared to most people that I talk to in the community, especially in the professional community, I am a noob. But they don't care. They can, if I need help or I could talk about taking a doe, and they're just as excited as if I would be to telling them I'm taking a world record.
But it's crazy. Like, my wife, she's gonna hunt this year. That'll be her second year ever hunting. But I took her to the Pope and Young convention, and I'm introducing her to people. I mean, crazy people. I'm like, Chrissy, this is Tom Miranda. I'm like, Chrissy, this is Michael Waddell. This is Remy Warren. And every single one of them, like, well, how are you, Miss Chrissy? And and I'm like, wow, like, it really is. Bow hunting is the tightest knit group of family you can ever belong to.
Yeah,
and that's why I love it.
And then speaking of Pope and Young, when we were there, we had the same experience.
Yeah, everyone
was just incredibly friendly, incredibly nice. They could just be the most outrageous guide ever. But then when you talk to them, it's almost like you're talking to your cousin or something like that.
No, you're absolutely right, man.
It's just open arms, and that's one thing I love about the community. I mean, I've rubbed shoulders with quite a few outdoorsmen now, and I haven't really had any issues with any of them.
Except Gabe. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
love you, Gabe.
Gabe.
And that's just it. For me, it's just as much part of the community you belong to, even past the passion. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting people involved in hunting, because I'm like, you can do a lot of hobbies, you can get involved in a lot of things, but the hunting community is something like you'll never experience.
Well, also, hunters have the ability to really strengthen local economies.
Yeah.
There's areas that have fantastic wildlife populations that are perfect for hunting, where people will pay a lot
Africa
to go out there. Well, I mean, even if we just keep it in America,
you're right. No,
right? Like, you just go hunt pheasants in the Dakotas.
Was it you that I was talking about Joe Rogan in Africa?
Yeah, we had that conversation when we were talking about Pope and Young stuff.
So, before I tell this story, we have to tell about the giveaway that you're doing with Pope and Young right now.
Absolutely. We have about 16 days left of the giveaway, and there's a few ways to sign up. But the best way is actually by listing a property or service on American Hunt. You get 10 entries.
The prize itself is a whitetail hunt in Illinois with our friend Matt Jennings. Matt Jennings, and even if you don't like Matt, I understand.
I don't. He's a super cool dude.
He's a goofy little redneck.
Matt is awesome.
No, but even if you don't, I mean, Matt is one of the funnest guys that I could ever dream of going on a hunt with. And I actually think we're going to try to meet up in South Oklahoma this year on a hunt. But Matt is one of the funnest guys I could ever dream of going on a hunt with. So even if you don't want to kill a giant whitetail in Illinois with an awesome outfitter, you still get to hunt with Matt Jennings. And that's just going to be, I mean, I'm sure he'll film it for his TV show, The Game. And so I'm sure it'll be a good time.
Well, also, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to hunt Illinois, and Illinois is legendary.
Right.
And
Pike County, Illinois. So that's not where the hunt is, but that's the #1 county for whitetails in America. That's
awesome.
I shouldn't say that because I don't know if it still is.
Well,
so don't start sending me emails if I'm wrong.
Well, so that's actually something that American Hunt is doing, though. There's a lot of people that grow up hunting one area, and they are experts on that area. It could be, I'm just going to shout out Arkansas again, but it could be, Northwest Arkansas. They know all the spots within 100 miles, but they might want to go take an elk or something like that, and they don't even know where to start.
Listen, this is the best advice I could ever give you. Don't hog hunt when the Razorbacks are playing. I have nothing but bad luck. Are you a Razorback fan? I've got super bad luck. So one time, and this was a while ago, we were up against Johnny Manziel. I shoot a hog, we lose. But then the most recent one, and this is heartbreaking. I owe all of my Arkansas fans an apology here. I was hunting in Arkansas, shot a pig, head home that night, and I'm watching Arkansas play in the third game of the World Championship against Oregon State. I hate you, Beaver fans. It's the ninth inning. We're up by 1. 2 strikes, 2 outs, and there's a foul ball in the air. We've got 3 guys. Do you remember this?
I remember this.
We've got 3 guys surrounding the ball, and it lands right in the middle of them. And Oregon State comes back to beat us. And I'm like, I'm never shooting a hog again when the Razorbacks are playing because I'm bad luck. That's the best tip I can give you. Don't hunt any animal that if you live in a state and your mascot is a deer, don't hunt a deer. I mean, it's just bad luck. I should have figured that out a long time ago, but I didn't.
So I'm one of those guys where if I have the opportunity, I'm taking it.
Screw the Razorbacks. I'm shooting this hog.
No. I love the Razorbacks. Peyton Hillis, super cool guy, Razorback legend, shout out. But if I see a hog walking by, I'm taking it.
There you go.
That's that. I don't mean to step on your advice or anything like that, but I don't have enough time. Well,
no, I've got a friend.
It's just priorities.
I can't say friend. I've sent a couple emails back with him, but Trey Burks, who's a receiver for Arkansas right now, he's a big hog hunter himself. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Like, you can't kill hogs and play for the hogs. It's just, it doesn't work like that. But I'm hoping to have him on the show one day.
Speaking of hogs real quick, a lot of people don't know what to do with their hogs. If you ever try smoking it, like really, really, really heavily, you could take those smoked pieces of hog, and then you could make stuff with it. Like you could put it in your gumbo or something like that, and that is a really good way to go.
I like to shoot really small hogs, like
Fair.
20-pound hogs. I'm talking fresh off the nipple. I mean, still milk dripping from their mouth. And then you just throw the whole thing on your smoker. And
yeah.
I remember one time I come home with a skinned hog, and it probably weighed 10 pounds, and my kids freak out. Like, they thought it was a rabbit. I'm like, it's a hog, sweetheart. Because it had already been skinned and everything, so it just looked like meat, and it looked like a rabbit. And they were, like, freaking out. I'm like, it's a hog. Don't worry, it's a hog. And I showed them little pictures of the hog. And anyways, I like to do that and throw them whole on the smoker. Just split them open down the middle and put them on the smoker.
The smoker is a godsend. If I can't figure out how to cook something, it's going on the smoker.
One time we were in Oklahoma,
or in a gumbo,
on a hog hunt, shoot this hog, and one of my buddies was like, "Let's do it luau style," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, I was in college. I'm like, "What do you mean?" And so he digs a pit, like a 10-foot pit, lines it with fire bricks, so it took like 2 days to get it done, but lines it with, and we filled it with apples and pineapples, and then we bury it and put it in the ground for, I think, like 23 hours or something like that. And it was the best hog I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of luau's, and it is fantastic.
Oh,
There's something about the whole hog cooking together low and slow like that.
Oh my gosh, man, it's lunchtime now. So as far as your properties go that you have listed, one of my good friends, Corey Corson, from Oklahoma, Liberty Ranch Outfitters. I'm be hunting with those guys a lot this year, and that place, I don't like to use this word because I don't want it to sound exclusive or prestige, or but it is a prestige outfit. I mean, it is top of the line, amazing hunt.
Well, not only that, but it's a massive property. They have places where
Very
you can stay.
massive.
But not only is it massive, but it's managed near perfectly.
Oh my gosh.
They're a guiding light as far as management is concerned.
Well, Corey, that's Corey's background. He went to college on management and studied in Texas on how to manage for whitetail, but that property is insanely big. I remember the first time I went there. We're sitting on top of a hill, and he's like, "You see that electric tower, that little building over there?" He's like, "That's 3 miles away. That's the south end of our whatever." And I'm like, "Good Lord!" Like, you're looking over all this country, and I'm like, "Holy moly!" But it is a phenomenal place to hunt, and that just goes to show you, like, the properties you can trust where you're going to hunt. And that's big, because again, if you throw all your eggs in one basket and it sucks, you're just out of luck. But with American Hunt, you can trust that these properties, they have deer, they are reputable. Go hunt them.
Right, and then we have different level hunts. So while we're talking about Liberty Ranch, they're also right next to Pioneer Woman. So I'm probably gonna sneak away with my girlfriend, and then I'm gonna do a hunt.
Shout out to Pioneer Woman.
Right. So I'm gonna go do a hunt, and then I'm gonna let her go to the Pioneer Woman.
I tried
place while I'm
something.
out in the
I
trees.
tried something very similar. My anniversary falls right in the middle of the rut. I know, stupid. But I was ready to get married. For all of the benefits that come with marriage, I was ready to get married, and so we got married in the middle of November. So I tried that with my wife. I'm like, "Babe, these cabins are gorgeous." Like, I showed her pictures of the cabin. She's like, "Oh my gosh, they're beautiful." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what I want to do. Let's go there for our anniversary. You can go to Pioneer Woman. I can hunt." She's like, "Nope." She's like, "If we're going on an anniversary trip, we're gonna spend it together." And I'm like, "Well, babe, it's our 8th. It's not like a big one, It's not like the 10th or the 20th or
Dylan,
the 1st.
why are you bringing your bow to our anniversary?
I'm like, "Well, just wanted to get some reps in." Then I'm putting on camo at 4:30 in the morning. She's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Seeing a little bit."
I'll be back at 8.
Yeah. No, I
ahead
tried
and
that.
sleep in.
She's like, "If we're going on an anniversary trip, it'll be for us to spend time together." And I'm like, "Well, crap. Now what?"
Well, my advantage is I'm not going on my anniversary.
Now, the benefit of Liberty Ranch for me, it's not the benefit for everybody, it's only about an hour and 10 minutes from my house. So I don't have to go and stay. I can leave at 3:30 and be in the tree stand at 5, before the sun comes up. So that's the benefit for me is I'm so close to Oklahoma that it gives me the opportunity to hunt Oklahoma without having to take off for a week. Because my best lease, the south border of that property is Oklahoma. So I can, on essentially the same lease, jump a little tractor path, and I'm in Oklahoma, where there you can kill 2 bucks. Kansas, you can only kill 1 buck. So on essentially the same lease, I can continue to hunt and kill 2 more bucks. So that's the benefit of living so close to the Oklahoma border. The only bad part is you can smell Oklahoma from there. So that's the only bad part. I used to tell my kids all the time when we'd pull into Arkansas, we passed the Welcome to Arkansas sign. I'm like, "Kids, smell that?" And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "You smell it?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "See how it just smells better? It's because you're not in Oklahoma anymore."
That's Walmart.
Yeah. No.
Well, also Liberty Ranch, they have 40 ponds. So they have everything. They have whitetails, turkey,
great
fishing, ducks, geese. It's pretty much a dream property.
It is. So no matter what you want to hunt, it's a property that offers it for you.
Well, and then because it's so well managed, it's...
Well, here's what I like
perfect.
about Corey. Is they don't just manage for deer, they manage for healthy habitat for everything.
Right.
And the best thing I can equate it to is the Back 40 series put out by Meat Eater, where they're literally diving into bees and plants and squirrels and rabbits, and that's how Corey manages this property. it's not just for the biggest whitetails you can get. It's for healthy habitat for all wildlife. And that's why it's such a special place, because everything is sustained. It's not like, oh, you know, our turkeys aren't that great this year. Oh, our small game's not that great this year. Oh, our whatever's not that great this year. It's managed for everything. So it's an exciting hunt.
Yep.
It's an exciting hunt. Now, I ask every guest one thing. So Fred Bear is big on his field notes. What's your biggest little tip that I can take and put in my back pocket and make myself a better hunter with?
All right, this is going to sound simple.
I like simple. Don't pee in the wind.
Yeah, right? Don't forget, it's supposed to be a fun experience. Just enjoy yourself. Don't get caught up in like gear and all this crazy nonsense. I mean, all that stuff is important, but in the end, it's all about enjoying yourself.
Absolutely.
Have a good time. If you're out with your family, your son or your daughter or whatever, make sure they're having a good time. If you're by yourself, just kind of take it all in, because it's not about just dropping ducks or taking a deer. It's about the whole experience.
Yeah. No, I try to explain that to people like beforehand. They're like, why do you go and sit in a tree stand for 7 hours? And I'm like, you're missing it. Like, you're missing the point. Because my hunt begins, so if we're going on a group hunt, my favorite hunt all year long is a group hunt in Texas with Gabe and Grant and our producer. And we travel to South Texas and we hunt for a week, and it's just a blast. But our hunt starts the moment we get in that truck.
Oh, yeah.
Like all the memories, all the fun, all the goofing off, all the stories, all the pictures our wives see where they're embarrassed. All of those things start the moment you leave the house. And it doesn't just come down to that one moment where you shoot the deer, but it starts that moment. And that's what people don't understand. My biggest tip, I want to share this with seasons beginning, some seasons opening in a week, some seasons already opened. If you have a place where you get to and have the opportunity to shoot deer in velvet, be very gentle with that velvet. That velvet starts dying the moment you shoot that deer. That velvet, the blood stops pumping to that velvet, and it's super easy to lose velvet. So try to keep your hands off the horns as much as you can. Don't get your oils in the velvet, but also don't drag a deer by velvet. You know, if you kill a hardhorn deer in November, you drag it out by the horns. Don't do that with a velvet whitetail. You'll rip the velvet right off. So be very gentle with velvet. You know, get it to your taxidermist that day. Don't leave it in the back of your truck. Don't say, well, it's cold, I can leave it overnight. Get it to your taxidermist that day in order to do whatever you can to save that velvet, because it is a finicky process. So that's my biggest tip, is be very gentle with your velvet. If you have the opportunity to shoot a velvet whitetail or caribou or Sitka blacktail, whatever it might be very gentle with that velvet. Speaking of velvet, I got to show you a picture. My buddy Jim Willems, our vice president, our past president at Pope & Young, shot a stud Sitka blacktail last week.
Nice.
Sent me a picture, and I'm like, dude, shut up. Like,
well, speaking of hunting and everything like that, for me also, like you mentioned, as soon as you start the trip, as soon as you get in the car, that's when it begins. For me, it's like that when I'm just practicing with my bow too. Just getting out there, because that's what I like about archery. You have to focus. And for me, everything else turns off as soon as I pick up my bow and I start practicing.
Yeah.
And I love it.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Like, you know, this year I'm going into it with a recurve, and I promise you, I don't care if it's a forking horn. That deer will mean more to me than any other deer's ever meant to me in my life, because I've literally worked my tail end off with this recurve. I mean, countless arrows, hundreds of arrows daily, and that deer will mean more to me than anything. Doesn't matter how big it is. And that's, again, it's all part of the experience. People think it comes down to that one moment of you spent 7 hours in a tree stand just for that one moment, and I'm like, you're missing it. It's a year-long process.
Yeah, if it was just about that moment, I would have quit my first year.
Yeah.
Because my first year I didn't get anything, and I already told you I went over 20 times. It's about everything else.
Yeah.
That moment is the crowning moment or the apex, but there's a lot more to it than that. And then that's what I love about bow hunting.
100%. Guys, before we go, let me give one more thank you to my friends over at Garmin. I'm a huge fan of Garmin, whether it be for daily use or for in the woods. I kind of switch back and forth between the Phoenix 6 and the Instinct Solar. Both great wearables, but whether you're going into the backcountry and you need to be able to send text back to your wife or your family, things like the InReach are invaluable. So go check out Garmin as if you need to. You've all heard of them. You all know, you're all familiar with their products, but the last 2 years I've really come to rely on those products. When I was in Maine, absolutely no cell phone service for hundreds of miles. And just to be able to send a text back to my kids saying, hey, love you guys, can't wait to see you guys, and have my parents read it to them. I mean, things like that are just invaluable. So go check out Garmin because they are a powerhouse and they are phenomenal. Nick, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dylan. Always good to see you, and I'll see you again soon.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure and go check out that giveaway that American Hunt's got going on with Pope and Young. You can find it on Instagram in American Hunt's bio or in Pope and Young's bio. You can click on that link and get entered to win. Absolutely no purchase necessary. Completely free to enter. So go check out that giveaway and win an awesome hunt with Matt Jennings himself.
Also, if anyone is looking to list their property or their guide service, definitely check us out. There is no out-of-pocket cost, and we'd love to see you on the platform.
Guys, listen. You can now get in front of a national audience, whereas opposed to your 5 or 10 friends that have been spreading the word. So check out American Hunt, or if you're just a landowner and you're looking to cash flow some of your ground. I know things like widows, and I don't mean to get sentimental or anything, but in Kansas, I've met a lot of widows, and they simply can't keep up with the farm anymore because their husbands passed on. Maybe this is a way for you to create some cash flow on your ground and at least help you cover taxes. So
Definitely possible.
check it out, guys. It is not only an awesome platform and an awesome company, but it also fills what I believe to be a big void in the outdoor industry. Guys, thanks for listening. You guys have a great week.